Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. I'm Elena.
I am Alejandro.
And today we decided to record a short episode due to the events that have been happening in the world, current events. And this particular episode we're calling Attack on Freedom. So this has been a theme for the last, I would say, many centuries. But it has been especially evident due to media, social media, especially evident in the last couple of years. We're going to reveal to you two characters today, two very famous writers, Salman Rushdie and J.K. Rowling, and also their books as well, diving into the frequencies, different layers of consciousness. Now, for those of you that are brand new, Alejandro and I actually have been reworking our scale of consciousness, the vibrational frequencies of awakening, and we've brought to you a brand new, beautiful design that encompasses everybody and everything, showing how truly everything is connected. So make sure that you use the link posted below to download our brand new scale. So that's number one. Descriptions have been updated as well. If you have any questions, please make sure that you email them to us. And we do have weekly revelations, vibrational revelations, where we meet with our membership community discussing all kinds of topics, and many of them unfortunately cannot be posted on YouTube or any media outlet. It has to be posted in a private membership platform due to the sensitive nature of the topic. So without further ado, we're going to start with, I'll give you a brief description and actually why we decided to reveal it, right? His life was just really threatened in a big way. He's been threatened since 1988, since Salman Rushdie published a book, which I will reveal to you in a moment. And then there was a massive attack on his life. We're so happy, of course, to hear that he is doing well. He's recovering, so we're sending wellness wishes. And then, of course, as a result, J.K. Rowling also has had major threat in the last, I would say, year and a half also on her life. And
recently too, they state you're next.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And this is why we're calling this episode Attack on Freedom.
Yeah, it is okay to disagree. No one has to follow the same thing or agree, on the same thing or have the same truth. And this is really attack on freedom, and that entails freedom of choice, freedom of speech, right? Mm-hmm. Freedom to express whatever
freedom to be an artist.
Right. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is you feel.
Absolutely. So let me just give you a little bit of a description or a little bit of a background on Sir Ahmed Salman Rushdie. He's an Indian-born British-American novelist. His work often combines magical realism with historical fiction and primarily deals with connections, disruptions, and migrations between Eastern and Western civilizations, typically set on the Indian subcontinent. So I'm going to reveal to you his frequencies. Very interesting. So we're going to dive into more than, I think now, like 34, 35 categories. So it's been an evolving scale, evolving analysis as we're moving forward. There's so many more things we can dive deeper into each person to see what shapes that human being.
And just one thing is that no one is less God than anyone.
That's right.
So the frequencies are just giving you a clearer idea of how the person is perceiving life,
reality.
what the perception is, and also how they process the information. But it doesn't make him less or more God, right?
Or better or worse,
better
right?
Better or worse, negative or positive, right or wrong.
Exactly. So he incarnated, so we look at the moment of conception, which is incarnation. Incarnated at the frequency of 500, which is the frequency of flow state. He was born at the frequency of 250, which is this level of observation, right? Neutral zone. But he did have that big drop. And overall, his frequency as of today is 500, the flow state, which is really interesting because when we checked him At the time he was already in the hospital. So it's fascinating that he's able to maintain this frequency, right? Health, and we decided to recently to check 3 different aspects of health, how a person views that aspect. So number 1, health, how does he view the aspect of health? And it's a lens of 200, which is the frequency of heroism and courage. So again, this is being brought to the surface because of what he's dealing with when he was fighting for his life, especially. His connection to the body he views through the lens of 200. Connection to the mind, 400. It's a very analytical mind. Connection to the soul, 200. Finances he views through the lens of 350, which is the frequency of objectivity. Creativity, I always say creativity is all about what inspires a person. And we're talking today about people who are taking action upon their inspirations. He's one of the most famous writers of our time. So his frequency for creativity is 850. Again, this is on a scale of 0 to 1000. And this is what we would call the level of illumination. Relationships, overall, he views through the lens of 500, state of flow. The way he relates to himself is 500, and relating to others is 400. So it means the way he relates to others, he analyzes. Personal growth. Personal growth he views through the lens of 950. And 950, again, it's one of those really high frequencies of illumination. Philanthropy, the art of sharing and giving, is 400. Again, the analytical way through which he shares. And then we incorporated service to self and service to others under philanthropy. So service to self is 400 and service to others is also 400. Intuition. And we often find this that in artists, especially in artists, somebody who is a writer, or we've done previous episodes that you might want to see on painters or musicians, right? Classical musicians like Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin we've done in the past. You'll see there is absolutely a link with creativity and intuition. So intuition for Salman Rushdie is overall 700. And then we checked 4 different aspects of intuition, clairaudience, so receiving messages through hearing, 950. So there's very little resistance there. So fascinating, right? Some people can hear and it comes as music, and to others it comes through the magic of words. Clairsentience, feeling in the body, 200. Clairvoyance, 700, ability to visualize, right? And claircognizance is also 700, his ability to know. So he has very good relationship in that aspect. IQ he views through the lens of 250. So now we're diving into the 4 aspects of intelligence. This is intellect he views through 250. Emotional intelligence, EQ, 400. Analytical. SQ, social quotient. So we do know, of course, that he has been a teacher, a professor at a university or lecturer, and also he gives talks. So his SQ, which means how does he do in social settings, and it's 400. So he's very comfortable giving public speaking and networking with people. AQ, adversity quotient. What kind of emotion or lens is triggered or filter is triggered when he is being challenged? And it is a frequency of 200. 200 is a frequency of being heroic, heroism. How much does he enjoy his role? And of course, the joy percentage could change, but again, it's due to the situation he's dealing with at the moment. It could go down, right? Because he was in the hospital, and I believe he's still in a hospital. But again, this is from a higher perspective of how much does his soul enjoy seeing his persona self playing a role in this reality. And it's at 82%. So now we're going into percentages. In the ego, 72%. And out of that, 70% inferior ego. In the now, 84%. Integrity, 99%. Integrity to himself, 100%. Integrity to others, 99%. self-awareness, 95%, clarity, 96%. So those two are really high percentages. It also shows that this is somebody who is committed to personal growth at the frequency of 950, right? And he's mastered that frequency overall of 500 where he's at, with that clarity and self-awareness in the 90s. Alignment with divine purpose, 100%. So he's walking his divine path. And alignment with personal purpose, it's 100%. Compassion, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 99%. So he's embodying the 500 frequency at 99%. And he's experiencing the fifth dimension at 54%. So that is the state of flow, what we call the state of flow. All right, I wanted to give you the revelation on the book, the very controversial book that was published in 1988 that was written by him.
That originated most of the
controversy, the threats, right? This is where all the threats came from. The book is called Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. So we're going to reveal 9 categories on the book. Okay, so the overall frequency of this book is 400. Fascinating. 400 triggered that kind of response. And again, it's from 0 to 1,400 is analytical approach. I actually did not read this book, but I did order it. Now I'm very curious to know, because apparently based on this frequency, he's taking you through a very analytical approach and diving in and investigating whatever it is that he is wanting the reader to understand.
Well, he's really going against many
belief systems. Apparently, again, we don't know. We didn't read the book, but interesting. Yes, because of the response that it triggered, right? Impact on human perception. So reading this book, impact on human perception, 400. Impact on human energy field. Like, what does it do to your energy field if you read the book? The frequency is 400. And here's the very interesting thing I just want to bring up. It just dawned on me. The last time we checked human collective consciousness, a month or two ago, it was 125. So imagine, reading this book opens a door. And actually, that's what literature and art does, right? It opens you up to, through these magical realms of different doorways that you can explore reality. So this is interesting that it's actually higher vibrational frequency, like almost actually 3 times higher, right, than the human collective.
But it is still significant to where, even if you realize that, okay, this resonates and makes sense, to let go of the programming or the belief system that you have attached yourself with or to and identify with is not easy to detach from that,
right,
and roll with it.
Yes. So he I'm sure he's pushing many buttons. Obviously he has. So I'm glad that he's doing better. Integrity of the book's content is 100%. Integrity to itself, the content itself is 100%. Integrity to others, meaning the information that it's delivering, is also at 100%. Transparency, 100%. Alignment with divine purpose, so this book being on the market and the information it's revealing, is 100%. And alignment with the mission of the book is also 100%. So, I'm very curious to read the book.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. There was a quote that I saved, but I'll look for it. Actually, his quote that I thought would be relevant.
Oh yes, I remember.
I did save it, but I'll find it.
They were good.
Yes,
good
I'll find it while he's giving you the revelations on J.K. Rowling.
Wasn't it one? You read one quote. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but it's about no one has the right to feel offended. Was it?
Yes, that was one of them for sure.
I'm not too crazy about it. I will,
But there's another great one I pulled up. But anyway.
But anyways. Next is J.K. Rowling. Yes, also is a British author and philanthropist. She wrote Harry Potter, a 7-volume children's fantasy series published from 1997 to 2007. The series has sold over 500 million copies and has been translated into at least 70 languages and has created a global media franchise including films and video games. Amazing. The Casual Vacancy, published in 2012, was her first novel for adults. Now, J.K. Rowling's overall vibrational frequency is 400.
Same as Salman Rushdie.
Right? She incarnated at the frequency of 500.
Oh no, he was 500, she's 400. Yes. Sorry, I messed up.
It's okay. I mean, it takes courage to correct yourself
Yes,
publicly.
yes.
So she incarnated at the frequency of 500 and was born at the frequency of 100. 100 being worry or fear, right? And incarnated at the frequency of 500, which Elena already explained, has to do with the state of flow. Yes? Now views the aspect of health through the lens of 250, which is objectivity, neutrality. And when it comes to body, connection to body is 100, connection to mind 400, similar than Salman, right?
Yes, same.
Connection to soul 200. Under finances, she views finances through the lens of 350, which is acceptance. Creativity 950, similar than Salman, I believe.
I think his
Or
was
he
850, 850, but also really
but it's still
high
the
illumination.
level of illumination that begins at the level of 700, right? That's where illumination begins, 700 all the way to 1000. All the way to 900, because we have
999
created, right? The 999, and then 1000 is the essence,
the divine
essence, fully integrated being. Relationships 400, and relationships to self 400, relationships to others 250, personal growth 700. Philanthropy 400, service to self 400, and service to others 400. Intuition 500. Under intuition, her relationship with clairaudience is at 500, clairsentience 400, clairvoyance 500, and claircognizance 500. Under the intelligence aspect, she has under IQ 310, which is eagerness, willingness. EQ, emotional quotient, is 250. Social quotient, the SQ, is 250. And AQ, adversity quotient, is 50. That is dissociation, right? In the joy, now we're going to percentages from 1 up to 100%.
I wanted to say something about AQ actually, because I think this is an important aspect to touch upon. She actually is a great example where most human beings that we check are at in the AQ. And this dissociation is a coping mechanism, right? When you feel so uncomfortable to be physically present that you have to totally disconnect and escape the physical reality. And this is one of the most common frequencies that we see for the AQ.
Disconnect emotionally,
yes.
Right? In order to cope with what is happening. And of course, it takes a different level of intensity for every individual in order to activate this filter under the AQ, right?
Yes.
Now, in the joy, 86%. In the ego, 91%. Now, again, we want to reiterate that ego is really information, right? And the percentages here do not signify that the person is or is not equivalent to negativity or positivity, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just how much the person relies on that which has been proven to work or not work. Yes? How much they rely on their belief system as well. Mm-hmm. And in her case, in the ego, is at 91%. And within the ego, since it's really, ego is thought, there are two types of thoughts, right? The inferior version of the ego and the superior version of the ego. The inferior version of the ego is just the type of thought that when one pays attention to, it gives them the feeling that they might not be good enough, or that whatever they do is not enough. The superior version of the ego is the extreme opposite. They think that there's nothing to be learned, no one can teach them anything, they know it all, right? So in her case is that out of the 91% in the ego, 88% of that represents the inferior version of the ego. Now, in the now, how much time the person is in the present moment or in the now, for her is 83%. Integrity, how loyal the person is to their, in this case, J.K. Rowling is loyal and faithful to her truth, to her belief system, is 98%. And it doesn't have to be her truth, my truth, or Elena's truth, right? Now, out of the 98%, integrity to self is 99%, and integrity to others is 98%. Self-awareness is 97%. Clarity, 98%. We'll say how clear her vision is of her perspective of life, or the path that she's on, right? Alignment with divine purpose, 100%. This is how well she's playing the divine role she decided to play in this lifetime. And we compare this to self-realization. Alignment with personal purpose, we compare this to self-actualization, more as of what the persona self wants to experience. And for her is 100%. Compassion, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 100%. And this is just an indicator as to let you know how much the person is embodying the current level of consciousness they're currently experiencing. In her case, is the 400 level of consciousness, right? So she's embodying it fully. Now, when it comes to dimensions, we measure how much time the person is experiencing the fifth dimension. And for her, she's experiencing it 37% of the time. And this includes doing dream state as well. Mm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And now the series.
Now we'll go into Harry Potter series.
I read all of them, by the way.
Series.
I think I read the first book when it came out in like a day. I couldn't put it down. And one of my kids, I think at 7 years old, he was 7 when the series came out. He read all of them at 7 years old.
Wonderful.
7 to 8, that whole time period when it was coming.
My kid did it 3.5 years of age.
Anyway, you know.
How old was your kid when he...
But, you know, it's one of those books that's just so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Takes you in a realm of just amazing imagination. So she's got great imagination. That's why her creativity was at 950.
Yes, and her intuition too, right?
Yeah, at 500, so it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
She took us on a great ride.
Right. Overall frequency for Harry Potter.
The series,
yes, is 350. Impact on human perception, 310. That eagerness, willingness, right, to explore, and to open a bigger door.
Mm-hmm.
and to be willing to actually perceive it through a wider lens, no?
Mm-hmm.
Impact on human energy field, 200. It's the heroic, courageous, I will say, impact. Integrity, 100%. Integrity to self, 100%. Integrity to others, 100%. And this has to do with its content and linked to the author, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transparency, 100%. Alignment with divine purpose, 100%. Alignment with its mission, 100%. Mm-hmm.
That concludes it. I did find the quote I was looking for. And this is the quote actually that came from the book that I just revealed to you guys from Salman Rushdie. From the beginning, man used God to justify the unjustifiable. I think this is a very important quote.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, stay in your heart, stay in your love, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.